Alongside Kevin Weeks and Mike Johnson, guys, the preseason top 50 list was a projection. This midseason top 25 now is all about performance. As we focus on Canadian teams, let's revisit the summer blockbuster between the Flames and the Panthers. Matthew Tkachuk rises 8 spots to number 11, while Jonathan Huberdeau plummets from 14 to completely off the list. Kev, did the Flames get fleeced?
Did they get fleeced? No, because these are two high-end performers, elite performers, if you will. However, when the Flames first drafted Matthew Tkachuk from the London Knights, I said, that's the heartbeat of the franchise. That's the guy. That is the guy. Pay him anything he wants. Give him some of the mountains, the Rocky Mountains. Cut them off piece by piece and hand them to him. Give him whatever he needs. Give him fresh oil. They didn't do that. I know it's a unique situation, but I got to tell you, the heart and soul of the Calgary Flames is gone. His game is unique. You can play it any way you want it. I think that's why he's made such an easy transition to South Florida. But Johnny Huberdeau is an elite offensive player. We know that. It's just been a difficult transition for him to this point.
Yeah, I think you got to remember, this wasn't a one-for-one trade. Mackenzie Weegar's a pretty darn good player. I think we would acknowledge Matthew Tkachuk is and was supposed to be the best player in this deal, and he's turned out to be. But there are other components beyond Huberdeau that need to be taken into consideration when evaluating this trade. And the other, maybe more important part, Matthew Tkachuk was going somewhere he wanted to, or on a contract he wanted to. He directed exactly what was happening, got to go exactly where he wanted. Where Jonathan Huberdeau, he left a place that was home to him, that he was comfortable, that the system and the lifestyle and the city and the organization he was very familiar with. And I think that transition to a new place, new country, new city, everything has been a challenge for him. So they were not fleeced, but so far, Florida has definitely got the best player in the deal by a long shot.
Yeah, speaking of guys who slipped down the list, a big fall for Auston Matthews. From number 2 before the season, all the way to number 23 right now. MJ, was last season's dominant 60-goal performance just a one-off for him?
No, Gino, it was not. I think this year's 45-goal performance is more of the aberration if that's going to be your down year, because the previous 2 years to last, he also scored at a 50 to 60 goal rate. So it's not like he was just last year he had this happening. I think there's been some injury issues. I think there's been some change in style. I definitely think there has been a lack of finish by him, which is unusual. The shooting percentage should right itself to what he's always done. And I would expect him once again, not this year, but going forward, Weeksy, to be amongst the league leaders in goals scored. I would not be surprised if he gets 60 once again and is reestablished himself as the greatest goal scorer in the game, as he did last year. I think situationals have kind of contributed to him being not as good scoring goals this year. I don't think that happens consistently going forward.
I couldn't agree more. I think some of it is predicated on him being plagued or hampered by some injuries that he has. Yeah. To his credit, though, he's played a very complete game. He's not necessarily forcing his game on the team based on injuries by trying to hit numbers, which is a huge uptake in his leadership skills for sure. In those ways, to me, he's been great. But one thing I will say, ultimately, I love your point earlier. In the event that the Leafs are able to get through Tampa, get through a first round, all will be forgotten. And if Auston Matthews can regain his form down the stretch, and more importantly, under the bright lights of the Stanley Cup playoffs, I think all will be forgotten. I don't see this as being an aberration in terms of that 60-goal performance. I echo your points. The 45 is a down year. I'll come back and play wing or center and score 45 at a down year in the NHL. That's a great living.
Yeah, so everyone expects Matthews to bounce back. The Jets have 3 players inside the top 25, as do the Toronto Maple Leafs, tied for the most among the Canadian clubs. The Oilers have the top 2 ranked players in the entire league. Which Canadian team has the best chance of turning its talent into a Stanley Cup this season? Kevin?
As of right now, as of today, Jets, Jets. You see, my Scarborough education kind of had me on a little bit of a pause there before I spelled that out. I'm back, though. I think it's the Winnipeg Jets, okay? I think it's the Jets to this point. I love what the Leafs have done this year. And the Oilers, you can't bet against superheroes. But in terms of playing the game any way you want it, any style, stylistically, we know that styles make the fights, especially in the postseason. The Jets have that jam. They have the size. I would also say their goalie, Connor Hellebuck, is among the elite. He's a Vezina Trophy winner. And Rick Bowness has done a masterful job of resetting this team, galvanizing them, and creating new chemistry, Johnny. For those reasons, I go with the Jets as of today.
Yeah, I like the goaltender, but Weeksy, I go to the path of least resistance. I see Toronto, they got to go through Tampa, they got to go through Boston. That is murderer's row. That is going to be an impossible task for them to think that they could do it. They might, but it's going to be very challenging. And for the Jets, for their great year, if they don't win the division, they may get Colorado, a healthy Colorado in the first round. That seems really tough, and then on into Dallas. That's why I'm saying it's the Oilers, because the Pacific's wide open. Who knows between LA and Seattle and whoever, Vegas is not playing that great. Who knows who they might get? I think that they have the best chance to go through those guys to get to the conference final more so than Winnipeg or Toronto. For that reason, Connor and Leon and all the other great players they have. I think the Edmonton Oilers have the best chance this year of getting to the Stanley Cup.
All right, gentlemen, TSN.ca is your home for the entire Top 25 project. Our hockey analysts, Kevin Weeks and Mike Johnson.